weird thing when you're talking about lyrics because, people take their own meaning from whatever it is. I mean, let's face it. How many people, read the Bible and go, you see, I've got permission to kill and rape and maim and
Yeah.
whatever. And other people going, well, see, it's all about love. You got to love every. It's like, oh, are we reading the same book here?
Today we're celebrating 40 years of Strange Advance with the man, the founder, Drew Arnott. And what can I say? This is actually one of my favorite recordings we've done this year. This is the ultimate Strange Advance interview for any longtime fans if you're curious of what they're up to right now and getting some deeper layers of their 40-year history. Drew is full of fun stories, a lot of insight, and it was an absolute pleasure talking to him. But yeah, I'm gonna stop babbling and let's get right into it.
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Very nice to meet you.
I see my name comes up as Drew Strange.
Yeah.
That's like the Ramones or something, Joey Ramone, Phil Ramone. It's like, yeah, Drew Strange, whatever.
That's actually awesome. It's kind of like Doctor Strange type of thing
That's
going
right.
on. You're like some kind of superhero or villain right now.
Exactly. Well, we don't know. It could go either way.
But either way, certified legend, and it's awesome to talk to you today. Just to let you know, I was born in 1985, and for as long as I can remember, We Run has just been a prevalent song on the radio since like just earliest memory. It's just been around me. So it's super
Well,
excited to connect with you today.
well, that's great. And of course, we know how old you are.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Big year.
40 years later, my God. Well, I thought you were going to tell me that as a child you were forced to endure hours of strange advanced music, from your parents or something.
Well, I
But
just
no.
feel like you guys always been around, and even like later on my life in my 20s, I took this construction gig, and this one guy would always listen to Boom 97, and
Oh yeah.
you literally that song was on once a day. And again, it was like one of my favorites in the rotation too. So when I saw you guys pop up in this opportunity, it got me excited. And
Oh, that's great.
mainly a big thing is like I love to just talk about like their different perceptions and during that time when you guys exploded as like having these albums and radio hits too, I wasn't old enough to go out to the shows or the
No.
clubs or anything. So I just kind of want to know like what was the landscape like of having like a big hit in the 80s?
Well, it was a totally different scene back then because you didn't have socials. Of course, we had much music, so that was like, a new, element that we hadn't dealt with yet until that point. And the one thing, like right now, through social media, I know who our fans are. I can talk to them. They can talk to me, and I know exactly who they are. When we first toured, like actually, we didn't tour our first album. We didn't tour until after our second album. So at that point, we were headlining shows, and I'm going, who's coming to the shows? Who's our audience? I don't know who they are. I've never met anybody. I don't. Apparently somebody bought the record. Um, so there was like a more of an unknown quantity back then. Now, let's face it, if a new act, say for instance, so there's some German act that they're touring Canada. Oh yeah, I think I've heard of them. Well, 5 minutes on YouTube, you've seen a couple videos.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I like this act, or I know what to expect now, or whatever. But back in the 80s, no, that wasn't an option. I
Hmm.
mean, the internet was just basically a baby at the time. So, as a matter of fact, David Tickle, who I was talking to somebody earlier, he he was like a producer engineer guy, an English guy, and he used to do live sound for Prince and stuff, and also produce some big hits. He was great. But anyway, he was we were working with him at Metalworks in Toronto, and I walk into the control room, and he's got a little Tandy notebook. Do you
Hmm.
remember? No, I don't. Not a case of remembering. There used to be these little computers made by Radio Shack,
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
and he plugged in a little thing that like a modem that would attach to a phone, and like an old-fashioned landline phone. And I said, what are you doing? He says, oh, I'm going to be chatting with my dad. It's
Wow.
like, well, how are you doing that? Well, and it was just he was in a chat room or whatever. And but that was before email. There was no
Mhm.
email, there was nothing. And that was like my first experience. It's like, wow, that is so cool. You're gonna have a conversation with your dad. Yeah, I do it every Saturday or whatever. So it's things have changed radically, I would say.
Yeah, and even that's interesting, you recalling that moment. I was watching like a bunch of like interviews of you prior to this as well, and even you were mentioning in those how a lot of the music has been inspired from sci-fi and stuff like
Oh
that. So
yeah.
probably seeing that modem thing for the first time was just like, holy shit, this is the future right now type of.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the future looks scary, kids, let me tell you.
Yeah, it did get kind of spooky too. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think in one of the interviews it said yeah you were really, like really into like Blade Runner, but do you ever like watch like newer sci-fi stuff or like keep up with like films and
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'll watch anything that comes out.
Mhm.
And I don't bother. 98% Rotten Tomatoes, 12% Rotten. I don't care if it's sci-fi. I'm gonna watch it and make
Oh,
my own.
amazing.
Make up my own mind. But
Hmm.
yeah, oh no, I watch anything that's going on. I just find it a very exciting aspect of life that, wow, we're living our lives here on Earth, and you got to know that there's other other species out there on other planets doing exactly the same thing, and perhaps some of them might be walking amongst us. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's super cool. And even like you did mention as well, the Much Music Times, you guys were kind of popping off at like the very infant stages of the music videos. MTV was taking over the world and everything. And was that something I don't know, as you're like making this music, and then all of a sudden maybe a PR person's being like, okay, now we need visuals to that. Like, how did you take that, or was that exciting to you? Or
Well, it was not. It was not.
Mhm.
We did not take the Duran Duran approach. Let's just be young, good-looking, frolicking on yachts and chasing hot babes and stuff. It's like, no, that wasn't our thing at all.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, Daryl and I, we fought the whole video thing. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
really? We got to be, movie stars now? It's like, I don't see that in my future somehow. But anyway, you have no choice. It's like it's called MTV. Everyone's on it. You got to be on it. And
Hmm.
because we were signed out of Los Angeles, so it was a whole American production. And yeah, we were on MTV before we were ever on Much Music. So
Hmm.
anyway, it was not something we really took to, especially because being into sci-fi and watching all those great films, I had ideas. I was like, oh, you want a video? I've got an idea for you. What if we did this? And it's like, and they said, well, yeah. What if you found somebody with $5 million to spare? It's like,
Yeah.
because we're not funding this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what can you do for $30,000? It's like, well, not a lot, but anyway, yeah. I mean, the Michael Jacksons of the world who could spend $1 million making a thriller, movie or video or whatever. So if you're in that position, and no, nothing against Duran Duran, I'd happily frolic on a yacht, um, if somebody offered me the chance now. So
Hmm.
I've changed my mind on a lot of things over the years, I can say.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I can imagine too, like with all your interests and even maybe them asking, hey, can you pitch a music video? You're kind of probably like, hey, let's make this a movie type of thing. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I noticed it did kind of come out in like your album covers. It's
oh
just a
yeah,
very
yeah.
I don't know, nostalgic sci-fi feel to it, which is awesome.
Well, I love the juxtaposition of the old and the new, and I've always liked that balance. I guess it's I guess it's sort of a semi steampunk kind of ethic or something. I don't know, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's it's fun playing with visuals. And speaking of visuals, touring live with us is Mr. Tim Hill, who used to do the visuals for Skinny Puppy.
Oh wow.
And so he's been working on a whole batch of new visualizations, shall we say, and it's so much fun now having a great concert package. Now when we show up, it's like, we want people to leave happy. We want them to see a great show and feel like they got their money's worth and stuff. So every show's got a few little different touches to it. So, and this will be no different.
Yeah, that's cool and that's exciting. You guys are like hitting the road again, doing some
Yeah.
shows and everything. And one thing I was like listening to in another interview of yours too, how you guys took this big hiatus, but it was never really, it didn't sound like it was like a band breakup. It was just
Oh no.
like, I'm gonna take a break, and then you blink, and next thing you know, it's 30 years later. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Because in the beginning, after we released our third album, The Distance Between,
Mhm.
it was definitely my intention to release another album after that. And we had a record deal. We had to release another album after that, but we took exception to the record company at the time,
Mhm.
and we didn't want to make another album for this particular outfit.
Yeah.
And so we sort of did battle to get out of our deal. And then in the meantime, our friends Nirvana decided to come and shake up the whole music business and make a lot of 80s acts like us sound obsolete at the time.
Hmm.
So, and we had to wait until finally that resurgence. I guess there's that stage where, you're 15 and you fall in love with an act and they're your life and everything. And then, oh, now I'm off to university. Yeah, I'm still into it. Now I'm left, I'm getting a job. I've met a girl. We're getting married. I'm having kids. It's like, goodbye, music. I have no
Yeah.
time for you. But now, all right, the kids are grown up. And hey, why don't we do what we used to love to do? Go to a show, follow our favorite band or whatever. And now those people flock to the shows and it's so much fun for them and for us.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting perception of like the journey and everything. And also makes sense, yeah, like Nirvana, the grunge wave, like actually changed everything.
Oh, it
But
was huge.
yeah, I
It was a
think
tidal wave.
oh yeah, yeah. And I think like what's really interesting now about just how everybody's connected now with the internet, I'm noticing that there isn't like just one prevalent genre pushing everything. Everybody listens to everything to the
Oh,
point
it's
where
totally
I'm
splintered. Yeah.
yeah, I'm hearing stuff of your style being made by 20-year-olds and like people in
Yeah.
their early 30s. There's a band I really want to share with you that we interviewed from Europe. They're called Ultrasun, and they're like a duo. And as I'm like listening to some older Strange Advanced stuff, I'm like, this would be an amazing tour package to mix like people who are like into the classics, but also get know that there's some new stuff and also like even mix you guys with like getting younger fans, and it's
Oh,
not just
I
that
love
one band, it's like there's
I love it.
a
Yeah.
scene, yeah, so it's
Oh
I
yeah.
think
And sorry, ultrasound, did you say?
they're called Ultra Sun, and Sun
Oh,
is spelled
sun.
with two N's. And
Oh, okay.
even beyond that band, there's like a scene that just sounds like it's coming from you guys or like from a different time, but it's brand new. Like you look at the Spotify, it's like, oh, this song was made in 2024. And you're like, oh, what the hell? Like this sounds like 86. So it's
Oh, I
cool.
know, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's astonishing to hear that influence, and but you got to remember these are people that whose parents that's what the music they were listening to.
Hmm.
I mean, I come from a different generation. My dad was a sax player. He played in a band, but it was like big band music, so that's what I was exposed to. So,
Yeah.
and I love big band music. It's awesome. But yeah, you can't deny if you're a little kid and there's music on in the background, it's going to have some influence on you.
Yeah, definitely. And it did for me. Hence why at the beginning of this talk, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. So, yeah, even I wanted to know too, like throughout like this 30-year break too, was there a lot of moments in between where you were almost getting inspired to write songs? Because I know like once you
Oh,
have
I
that
never
gene in
stopped.
you, like, oh, amazing.
I never stopped. And it's a little bit of a curse because I can remember reading a book about how to become a millionaire. Of
Mhm.
course, this is like 40, 50 years ago. And and reading all these stories, the vast majority of them were like a person who had one idea and they ran with that idea,
Mhm.
and it turned out to be successful and made them their fortune. And there's something about that, when you only have when you're limited by circumstances and there's only one thing you can do. I have so many options of things to do, and and as far as songwriting goes, on a daily basis, I come with at least two or three song ideas a day.
Amazing.
So you can imagine the backlog of ideas I've got. It's insane,
Mhm.
but it kind of stops you. It's like, what am I going to work on? And invariably, I've got a new idea. It's like, well, oh, let's work on the new idea. Well, what about maybe last week there was a better idea? I better go listen to them. Anyway, it's a bit of a curse, having an
Mhm.
overactive creative mind. I mean, of course, better than the alternative, having no ideas.
Yeah, yeah, facts.
But anyway, so we're going to have a couple months off, and I'll have a chance to dig into the song ideas and work out some stuff for the next album.
So cool. And yeah, I can imagine over time too, just having these endless ideas and also like say you're putting together like a strange advanced album. Do you feel like there's many ideas that may not fit, or do you like curate like this is something else I just made that doesn't
Oh
fit the
yeah.
vibe or
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, and the problem is, it's like, what is a Strange Advance song?
Hmm.
We do range. We're not just like a one trick pony. We've kind of got big epic numbers, and we've got light short pop numbers, and so, but yeah, going through the material, you're right. There's a lot of material where it's like, I'm this is just is this remotely Strange Advancey? Could this be on a Strange Advance album? And the answer for a lot of it is no.
Hmm.
It just wouldn't fit. So now it's like, do I start another project, or do I
Yeah.
find a young artist to work with and supply songs? It's a bit of an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you use the word issue. I'm sure some days it feels like a blessing. You're like, oh, I got all these ideas, but then you think, oh, there's only so much time in the day for one person to do this. Like,
I know,
yeah.
and by the way, I am the king of the procrastinators, and I've told people for years, I have no choice. I have to live till I'm 120, because that's
Mhm.
just the speed I move at. I might get half of what I want to get done by the time 120 rolls around, and then I'll be dust in a casket somewhere, I guess. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Or who knows, like as technology advances, like
exactly.
going back to thinking about that phone modem thing, like it speeds up. There might be like a thing that'll make you live forever and you can produce all
Oh
these
yeah, I'll
songs.
just transfer my brain into a good-looking robot and
Yeah,
start
yeah.
again.
Drew Strange forever. That's
It's
what the
funny though. Earlier, you mentioned a couple times Blade Runner. I just have to share this story with you.
yeah, yeah, I loved it.
Blade Runner we loved Blade Runner. It's by far my favorite sci-fi film, the original. And when we started work on our second album, we were working with a producer who did lots of scoring for film, Michael Kamen, and and but he had never seen Blade Runner.
Mm.
And it was funny because Blade Runner, of course, was I used to call him Vangelis. Michael came and explained, no, it's actually Vangelis, and he's friends. They're buddies. They made records together and stuff. So and I'm going, and you've never seen Blade Runner? You've never heard the music or anything? It's like, no. Well, in London, there are so many repertory theaters that are playing every movie you can imagine. Somewhere in London, you can go to see whatever movie you want. And so on our day off, we dragged Michael Kamen in to see Blade Runner,
Yeah,
and we're sitting there. It's like, oh, this is great, eh?
yeah. Looking at his reaction,
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
different.
And we get out, we get to the end of the film. We're walking out. So, what'd you think? I hated it. It's like, especially the music. It's like,
Oh,
what? What? Little mind blown. And, it was just crazy. So, yeah, I did not understand that at all. But the funniest thing happened a couple years later. I go to see a movie, and it's directed by Ridley Scott, who directed Blade Runner,
Mhm.
and Michael came and did the music. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
this would be interesting.
Yeah.
And then I hear very reminiscent to Blade Runner themes, very reminiscent.
It's like embedded into him.
Well, no, I think I mean, who knows? Maybe he was influenced, but I think probably Ridley Scott's going, no, not like that, more like this. Like, that scene in Blade
Yeah.
Runner is like, and Michael Caine's going, oh, great. I've got to rip off Blade Runner now. So, oh, that was fun.
I love that so much, and also I want to shout out my friend Dan Hosh, who's does he was just like recording a lot of like different bands and stuff, but now also does scores for mu or movies and television as well. And
Yeah.
similar thing, he worked on like the new show The Last of Us, which
Oh,
is like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest like horror thing going on right
Yeah.
now. And he hates horror movies, but
Oh, no.
everybody's praising the sound and stuff, I know. And I'm like, the guy who made all that sound hates horror. So again, that just reminded me of him and your friend who did the Ridley Scott film and
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Oh,
funny
yeah.
how people land into these jobs and they're good at it, but maybe like have a certain disconnect to like the final product or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a related note, um, because I've written some larger pieces of music, people always say, "Oh, that should be in a film." That's like you should be scoring, for, for movies and stuff. It's like, yeah, yeah, you're right. I should be.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah.
next thing. And as a matter of fact, we signed to a management company in Los Angeles, Management 3, Jerry Weintraub, strictly because he was getting into film. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. I've
Mhm,
got a manager who's producing movies. It's like, you know, bring me on. Well,
mhm.
that didn't happen.
Oh
And
yeah.
but years later, a friend of mine, he gets into filmmaking. He's making like short films and stuff. And he says, well, I'd love if you would do the music to my next film. It's like, oh, I'm honored. Yeah, I would love to.
Cool.
And then it turns out um, I'm just the worst. I'm terrible. I don't have the first clue how to approach a scene. It's like, what mood are we looking for here? It's like, it was so enlightening. It's like, okay, close that chapter. That's not going to happen for you, buddy. Uh,
Oh,
and I should have realized that because back when we were in London working with Michael Kamen, we were actually working on We Run, and Michael Kamen wanted to do like a sort of a scratch track of orchestral sounds, and we were bringing in symphony members and stuff to actually record the track.
hmm.
But he wanted to do like a demo of it, so he calls in his friend uh, Hans Zimmer, who's the only guy he knows who's got a Fairlight. So Hans Zimmer comes in, brings his Fairlight, and I'm standing there watching them work, and the speed of the ideas that are, they're just spitting out, idea after idea after, and all not like we could try this, we could try that. No, no, no. These are the ideas. It's just off the top of my head. This is what should happen. And so yeah, it was phenomenal. But I'm not a speedy guy like that.
Yeah.
I should have gotten the clue from that. That's I can't work at that breakneck speed, So I could do a music for a movie for sure. You just have to come back in 5 years and it might be done. Might
Hmm.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even I hear from hearing like different interviews with your bandmates and stuff, it seems like your process is kind of a bit of like free flowing and like in the moment, where with
Mhm.
movies, it almost puts you in a box with rules. They're
Yeah.
like, this is what the scene has to be, this is the tone or whatever, where
Yeah.
maybe a strange advance is just like, I'm gonna see what comes out of me at this point.
Exactly, and that's what gives me the most pleasure. I mean, I wouldn't want to, imagine, yeah, I spilt blood and sweat and tears, but here's the music for your movie, Mr. Director. He's
Hmm.
going, no, no, I think we have to go into this section. We got to do this, and we got. It's like, oh, so this is just a job where I got to do exactly what you tell me to do, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not fun.
Yeah. But
Writing songs is fun though. I enjoy
hmm yeah, and it's cool to hear your process. And one thing
that.
I wanted to ask you, and sorry if other people asked you this
No problem.
before too, but just again, like the big single you guys had, We Run, like just one thing that always like hit me was that chorus and even the lyrics where I listen to it, I'm like, this is pretty fucking deep, but then I'm like, I don't know exactly what it means too. Like at the point of the knife, you never see anyone, how the strong will survive at the end of their gun. And I know it's about perception, but do you remember like what kind of inspired that or where you were when you wrote that and like the
Well,
bigger picture of it?
yeah, I mean, I've told this story before, and it's like it's a weird thing when you're talking about lyrics because people take their own meaning from whatever it is. I mean, let's face it, how many people read the Bible and go, "You see, I've got permission to kill and rape and maim and
Yeah.
whatever," and other people going, "Well, see, it's all about love. You got to love every." It's like, oh, are we reading the same book here?
Hmm.
So when I explain lyrics, often I think, oh, I'm spoiling someone's
Mm.
perception of it. It's like
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to do that, but I can
Yeah.
tell you this: the song originated one morning. I wake up and I've had this dream, and I just wrote down some details from the dream. And basically, I was in the dream. I was standing on the side of a hill, looking out into a bay, and there was a battleship
Whoa.
sitting there, just floating in the bay, and you could see that all the soldiers or sailors, I guess in this case, are lying on the decks, clearly dead, and and so basically, there's been some sort of a nuclear event, and
Mhm.
there's and oh, now I'm saying too much.
Oh, I'm like, this is like your movie script now too. Like,
I know. Uh, um, yeah, yeah. There's certain lines. You're on your own and meet a. Yeah, you're on your own and meet a friend who doesn't kill but wounds for life. Well, that's me wandering about in this sort of forested area where the radiation ash and things are falling down, and that's the radiation's the friend who doesn't kill but wounds for life. You're going to have
whoa,
radiation poisoning and suffer for the rest of your life. But anyway, so it just continues along those lines. So it's a bit on the dark side. And
whoa.
I got another song called Perfect Day,
Hmm.
and I always get a kick out of it because it's a nice light bouncy song, which is basically about this guy ready to off himself.
Yeah, I love the contrast. Yeah.
So people going, "Oh, Perfect Day, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, well, yeah, I guess in some ways."
One of my favorite modern pop songs is this young girl, her name's Benny, and she's got that contrast again. It's just like sonically the happiest thing you ever heard, and the lyrics are, I know I fucked up, I'm just a loser. Just like again, offing yourself. I'm
Yeah,
like, this is the
yeah,
best. I don't know why that speaks to me, but it's almost like putting on that happy face when you're feeling a certain way on the other side or something.
yeah. I remember one time I was invited to a songwriters circle type of thing,
Yeah.
and it was right after I'd written Perfect Day, and okay, play a song, and so I played Perfect Day, and then so what's the song about? And I explained the song, and everyone's going, "Really? Oh, I had no idea." That's not what I took out of it at all.
Yeah.
It's like, so anyway, explaining songs, it's I'm not sure if it's always a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And even like when I listen to We Run, even though like it's so far off of what you were explaining, I always just thought of somebody getting mugged and being in that moment,
Yeah,
almost like thinking of like what really matters in life or just like eliminating all the bullshit and like
that's
just
what the song is about. You
Mhm.
nailed it.
Oh,
Perfect.
amazing. Cool. Yeah, that's what it is. Boom. But yeah, it's again so cool to like just pick your brain around all this. And this week. This episode's actually coming out a little later, but you're about to do like a show at the Phoenix and everything. And
Hmm.
just maybe what's your overall thoughts and like feeling getting more momentum back into this band and just doing it
Well,
again?
it's I'm very grateful that, people remember us. I mean, at the shows, we always go to the lobby and shake hands and take pictures and stuff, and I get to hear all the wonderful stories.
Mhm.
We did this one show, and this woman comes and over and shakes my hand. It's like, so nice to meet you. You were my mom's favorite act. And she pulls up her pant leg and to show off this worlds away tattoo, and it's like, because that was her mom's favorite song. And it's like, oh well, I relate to that because that was my mom's favorite song. She asked for that song to be played at her funeral.
Oh
So
wow.
it's very touching that the music has had an impact on people.
Hmm.
And really right now it's like, we're going out there playing dates, and it's all about discovering where our old fans are,
Hmm.
because it's every time we play, I get messages from people the next day or two. Oh my God, I just found out you played, such and such. It's like, "Yeah, I didn't know. Oh my God, are you coming back? When can I see you?" And it's
Yeah.
like, how did you not know we were playing? But
Hmm.
it's not easy sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like there's just we're just getting blasted with so much media these days. It's hard. And even I notice like I'm missing albums of bands I like too. I'm like, oh, they made one last year. Like it's just so much happening at once and
Oh,
it's
it is
hard to
a
navigate.
crazy world right now. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I remember, sorry, what's his name? An old Bowie producer, Visconti, Tony Visconti. He was touring with a couple members like Woody Woodmansey and Trevor Bolder from the Spiders from Mars, and he was touring the album, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Man Who Sold the World. Sorry,
Mhm.
wrong, wrong Bowie reference. And,
Yeah. Big tune, but also that also connects with Nirvana, what you were talking about. They used to cover that
yeah,
song as
that's
well.
right, that's
Yeah.
right. So anyway, he was touring that, and I was happened to be down in Portland, driving back to Vancouver, uh, and I'm listening to a Portland radio station, and they're talking about the show last night, the Tony Visconti show in Portland. It's like, oh, you're kidding? He was here,
Oh, yeah.
and I had no idea. I would have driven down just to see that.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, very poorly attended show, only
Oh,
like 80 people in this club. It's like, oh, you're killing me.
yeah.
And then at the end of the thing, and tonight they're in Vancouver. You know, I'm like 6 hours away from Vancouver. I'm not gonna be able to make that show either. But
Hmm.
it's like, why? I love these guys. How did I not know about the show? How did I miss a show like that that I would dearly have loved to have seen? And I guess it happens to a lot of people. So it's just a case of continuing to make our presence known, get the
Hmm.
word out there, and so that people can be prepared for the next time we show up, because I got to tell you, we're getting old. We're not going to be around forever.
Go
You know,
see them as
yeah,
much
I
as you
mean,
can.
if you want to see us now. I mean, I'm happy to say, I don't have any bad diagnoses or anything like that, but you just never know these days.
Yeah, and it just seems like just such a tricky game of like even reaching your own people nowadays who want to go to see those
Yeah,
shows. It's
yeah,
like I always say it's like almost a blessing and a curse, this technology, because again, like some
yeah,
new artists can reach out to people who wouldn't have known of them, but also again, like to go full circle is just so many other people doing that at the same time, and you can get
yeah.
lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
it's very true, very true. And I mean, back in the day, you would turn on the radio,
Yeah.
and any news you wanted to get, you would get from your radio station. So and so's coming, whatever. Now, of course, radio is still a great place to advertise. It still reaches a lot of people, but nothing like it used to. And
Yeah.
because so many people, they've got, you know, they've got, XFM, or they've got Sirius, or all the, they've got Spotify on the go. It's like they don't have
Yeah.
to tune into the radio station, so, and clearly a lot of people don't. So how
hmm
do you get your news? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's such like a crazy shift. And even I notice on Spotify there is like this new feature. It's like an AI DJ, but he's only curating to stuff that are like in the same genre you've been listening to, where I like to get exposed to something that I've
Yeah.
never heard before, you know? So
Yeah.
they're sending like things that are similar, but like I want to hear something new, you know, and exciting. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
hard unless you know somebody who's already found that and puts you on, and then you get into their network. But it's a crazy game.
And by the way, I'm talking about, being so old and stuff. I'm so old that I forgot the name of the band that you told me about.
Oh, Ultra Sun, and
Ultra
Sun has two N's.
Tunes. Yeah.
And I can even email you maybe some tunes or something because
Sure.
I don't know, just like yeah, like revisiting you guys and then also doing that interview like a little less than a year ago. I'm like, whoa, there's like really something going on with this sound that's it's back, you know, and it's
Yeah.
cool to see after doing an interview like that and thinking of like all these bands who are coming or who are new bands who are doing that sound, seeing the legends come back, and it's just like who created that sound. And I just think like whether it happens or not, I want to put some like manifestation feelers into the world that you all can collide and make some like tours or whatever, even maybe
Yeah.
collab on tracks. That would be awesome, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
hmm Yeah, and I guess like as a final question, we get a lot of creatives themselves like listening to these segments too. And would you ever have like maybe some advice for an aspiring musician, maybe has a ton of ideas in their mind like you, like but maybe they're like an overthinker and not knowing how to take the first step, how they would take the first
Mhm.
step?
I used to be the go-to source for questions like that. The
hmm
industry has changed so much
hmm
these days, and I know from anecdotally, stories I hear from people. If you go to a label and you don't have a pretty serious level of success already, usually they're not interested.
hmm
Back in the day, they used to develop acts. It's like there's something about this act I like. I'm going to work with them. And I'm going to work them for a year or two, and then we're going to put out our first album. And if that doesn't do well, we're going to continue working and building it up, and maybe the second album, or maybe it'll be the third album that puts them over the top because I believe in them.
hmm
Doesn't happen now. It's like, well, I believe that if you don't have 2 million, TikTok followers, then we're not interested. And I believe that if we put out your first single and it's not an immediate smash, we're going to drop you. That's it. End of story. So I would say to any young or yeah, or just starting off artist, creator, whatever, you've got to do that. You've got to, get on socials. You've got to build up some interest. You just keep putting out work, and and I see that I get the same suggestions from people. You've got to post daily, ideally like 3 times a day. It's like I can't do that because one, I'm lazy, and two, I have a life, and three, I just don't care enough.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so which is why I'm never gonna, show up at the top of anybody's charts. It's not gonna happen. Too much
Mhm,
work. But hey, if you're young, you've got the energy, you've got the intention, you can do it. You just have to, keep at it and keep making the best music you can. And I think there's an audience out there for anybody and everybody.
mhm,
And it's just a case of finding them. So you've got to throw your hat into the Spotify ring and hope that somebody notices and you get added to a few playlists or whatever. But that's the
mhm.
best I can offer right now.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truth to that with the landscape right now. Even recently, I interviewed a couple artists who are very new, but they almost didn't get that funding and stuff until they blew up before. So they were doing covers on TikTok or
Yeah,
whatever, went
that's right.
viral with that, and then somebody was like, "Oh, you're pretty good. Now you can make your original stuff," which is
Yeah,
seems backwards, but it's
I
just
know.
the lay of the land, unfortunately, you know?
Well, it's just the system has changed,
Yeah.
and that's the nature of life.
Hmm.
Things change, so you got to change with it. Otherwise, you're out of the game.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But it's great to see you back in the game, Drew.
We're back. We're back.
Hell yeah. I really appreciate your time in this talk today, and hopefully down the road around like your next project, I hope it's not in another 30 years and then we can
Yeah,
talk again, you know? Like
sounds good.
yeah, awesome, Drew. Well, hope you have a great day and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Nice
cheers.
talking. See you.
Thanks once again to Drew for his time celebrating the legacy of Strange Advance with me. So many great stories, and like I said in my intro, I genuinely believe this is one of my favorite recordings I've done this year. And unexpected. I think it's really cool. We're from different generations, but had a lot of convo chemistry, and I feel like on this interview journey, that helps with making a great interview, a great piece, a great listen for you guys. If you're a longtime Strange Advance fan, I'd love to hear what you think about this interview in the comment section. Did you get anything new out of it? Was it fun? Did it suck? All that. We're open to it. And if you're listening to the audio versions of this episode, I also want to encourage you to go over to our YouTube and hit the subscribe button. We're pushing towards 1,000 subscribers, and around that, we've been dropping some other content. We've been attending a lot of Comic Cons, getting some exclusive Q&A panels, movie premieres, more panels with directors. Speaking of sci-fi, we got a couple with Alex Garland. He made Ex Machina, Annihilation, Civil War. You got a panel with the Power Rangers, the man who played Jason Voorhees in Freddy vs. Jason, Mick Foley, the wrestler, and so much more. So I encourage you going over there. And thank you in advance. And as I'm giving thank yous, we can't run away without thanking all you legends on the Patreon page. First up, to the Queen, Ola Mazuka of Sonic Fold. Go search for Sonic Fold on your Instagram if you want to check out some more soulful interviews like I do. She's in touch with a lot of people in the Toronto area. She's a community builder, a DJ, and so much more. Check out Sonic Fold. Another huge thanks to the lovely Amanda McKnight of the Vamp X13 YouTube channel and the Vamp X13 Twitch channel. If you're into comic books, video games, movies, and all things nerdy, check out Vamp X13. More thank yous to the wonderful Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, the #1 gent Alan Kent, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want to get these episodes early, raw, uncut, right when I'm done the Zoom call, I just post them. You can go to patreon.com/thecreativeimbalance. And beyond getting a shout out at the end of every episode and my forever thanks, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media. And nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? With that being said, we got so much cool shit around the corner. On Monday, I'm interviewing Guar. If you're on the Patreon, you will get that by noon. We're doing it in the morning. Like I said, I just post these. So check that out. Full edited version will be out in a couple weeks. And a lot more. Like always, we keep going. I said the other day, I'm going to do this until I lose my voice or die. And, what's funny is I wasn't being funny. I think I actually meant it. So yeah, we'll catch you next time on the next episode of The Creative Imbalance. Ciao.